Hello, class. It is Dr. Jones coming to you with our discussion activity for today. So, for today, you read two things by Gloria Ladson Billings. You've read Tree of Knowledge and her remix to talking about culturally sustaining pedagogy and not just culturally relevant pedagogy. And so I wanted you guys to read these two because I felt like the big overarching theme between the two is that our culture is constantly changing. And in that, you can see that as a challenge. It definitely is a challenge. But in it, you can also think of it as our culture is constantly recreating different ways to think critically, different ways to express ourselves, different ways to break down the world around us. And that can be something that is intimidating for a teacher, but it can also be a really great opportunity for teachers. And so even though these times that we're living in are incredibly stressful and anxiety inducing, what I wanted us to do today is think about how our culture is changed in the global pandemic, in this new normal that we're living in, and how can we see this as an opportunity to really engage in more critical perspectives. And so here is what we're going to be doing for today. One thing that I think has been very evident in the last few weeks as all the schools have moved to an online format, and students are and parents are needing to figure out how to do this from home, is it definitely sends home the idea that real education, real lessons, using critical thinking is not something that we only do in a classroom. And one of the tenets of culturally relevant teaching has to do with applying what we do in class to real life. And so the opportunity that we have is to think about, well, there is no separation between real life and school life right now. What kind of unique questions is that bringing up, and how can we see those unique situations as being a place where we can engage and bring in students and help them see how learning is also something directly connected to their everyday lives? Okay, so what we're going to do today is I want you to first think of a real world problem that you believe a school age, you can choose whatever age range you like, but we want to do like K through 12. Think about a real world issue that a K through 12 student is dealing with, whether they know to really think about that or not. And so what I mean by this is, like, you can think about how a K through 12 student who is learning from home now, what are they thinking about the politics of this time? What are they thinking about public health? What are they thinking about the disparities in public health? We have just recently learned that COVID-19 has had a much deeper impact on communities of color, especially African Americans. And that says a lot about our health disparities as well. And also just thinking about, like, what are the lessons that students really need to know right now? Like, maybe that could be a lesson about personal health. Maybe that is a lesson about self-care, something like that. And all of these things, as skilled educators, we can make connections to other academic skills. And so first, think of a real world problem. Maybe form it in the form of a question, like, how should students think about health disparities? And then I want you to come up with an idea for a program, or maybe a lesson that you would do with students, obviously remotely because we're using it in the context of the time that we're living in. And how would you do the work of, as Ladson Billings says it, to identify, analyze, and solve real world problems? And so you're thinking about your real world problem, and then how would you help a student identify that problem? Like maybe they know something is going on in the politics of this time, but they don't know how to think about it. How would you help them identify it? How would you help them analyze it? And so for that part, I want you to think about what kind of critical perspectives do you think would be important? So if we're sticking with politics, what kind of different perspectives on our political climate would you want the student to be exposed to? And then I want you to think about how would you lead them to solving that problem? And so it doesn't have to be like a end-all be-all solution to the problem, but maybe how would you lead them to thinking about what they can do about the problem? Again, sticking with politics, maybe you've brought in the critical perspectives, you've helped them identify it, and then also help them put together a letter writing campaign to their local representatives or something that is in a way solving or addressing that real world problem in their lives. So as you are thinking about your lessons and your programs, I want you to only feel limited by, the fact that this would have to be like a remote program. Think about what students have access to and what their parents have access to. But I don't want you to feel limited in, what you can do. As long as you feel like you can connect it to an academic skill, like reading comprehension, like critical thinking, like writing, like, scientific reasoning, things like that. I don't want you to feel limited by that because there are so many connections. And so think about what would you put together if you had all the money, all the resources in the world? What would you put together in order to help these students identify, analyze, and solve real world problems that they're coming across in this pandemic? So I just want to hear back from you by 8 o'clock tonight. You don't have to put all of this together. I just want to see your ideas and how you write it out. I'm going to put guidelines on exactly what I want from you on my HSSU. But I'm really interested in hearing what you ladies think because I don't know about you, but I know that I've been going a little like stir crazy thinking about all of the things that can be happening right now that could benefit the lesser resourced students that are suffering at this time. So I'm really interested in your thoughts. If you need more time, please email me so that I can still mark you as present. I have no problem with that. And I hope that you get to spend some time outside because the sun shines pretty nice today. All right.